All right, hello everybody. This is your video on the different big ideas, those infinity ideas that we learned about that form the basis of America's democracy. And so remember, we thought about this in terms of the infinity gauntlet. What if each of these stones represent in our government? We said the gauntlet was rule of law. Rule of law is the idea that everybody's equal under the law, no one is above it, and that this means that everybody, including members of our government, have to follow the law. No one's above the law. The first stone that we learned about is the idea of the social contract. The social contract is that agreement between the people and the government. Remember, I told you to think of this handshake, okay? The people agree to give up some freedom to do things in exchange for some protection. The government makes laws to keep us safe. It limits our freedom to do whatever we want, but in exchange for giving that freedom up, we receive a measure of protection of our life, our liberty, and our property. Those three things, life, liberty, and property, are called natural rights. That's the second stone, okay? Natural rights are the rights that we're all born with. Everyone has them. They, according to John Locke, are life, liberty, and property. Our founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence said that the three rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but nevertheless, these rights are inalienable, meaning that they cannot be taken from you. They're natural rights. Everyone is born with them. The third stone that we learned about is the idea of popular sovereignty. Popular sovereignty, sometimes called consent of the governed or people power, is the idea that the government gets its power not from God or Jesus, not from just simply having the most power. The power comes from the people. People give the government the power, okay? And that ultimately power comes from the people, which means that people, according to the next stone, people should be able to choose their own leader. This idea is called Republicanism, and it's connected to our form of government, which is a representative democracy. Republicanism is the idea that people should be able to choose their own leaders, okay? And it is connected to the social contract where people create governments. It's connected to popular sovereignty, which means that people use their power to create the government and that they should be able to choose their own leader. Is representative democracy or republicanism, okay? The next infinity idea is the idea of limited government, okay? Limited government is the idea that government's power should be limited, okay? No unlimited government. People make governments, and we want the governments to do things, but they don't have an unlimited amount of power, okay? So this idea of limited government is connected to the idea of rule of law. Okay, so there's that. Then we've got separation of powers, which is the final significant infinity idea. We create governments to do three main things, right? We want them to make laws, we want those laws to be enforced, and we want those laws to be applied when they're broken. Okay, and part of limiting the power of the government is taking those three ideas, and rather than giving them to one person, we separate those powers and we give them to three different groups. We have one group to make the laws, we have one group to enforce the laws, and then we have one group to apply the laws and punish people when they break them. Okay, so that because we don't put all the power into one person's hands, we don't have any sort of absolute monarchs, okay? We have a government that has power, yes, but that power is limited, and ultimately we citizens keep our power because if we do not feel that the government is using their power and their authority in a way that we agree with, popular sovereignty says that we, the people, can choose a different leader, which is representative democracy and republicanism, okay? So when you add all those powers together, you get the infinity gauntlet of our Constitution. And of course, if we don't like what our government does, we can do just like Thanos did and snap, get rid of that, get a new government.